Okay, so I'm back, and it's been a few days since I finished the assembly process for the printer. And we actually just found out today that our daughter has hand, foot, and mouth disease, so I'm going to be stay-at-home dad this week because she can't go to the babysitter. So I thought I'd do a quick update and let everyone know how things have been going. As you can see in the bottom corner here, printer is printing away fantastically. I've actually finished printing all of the test files. That's what all these objects are. The SD card that's provided with the kit has some of these files on, all of these files on actually, and some of them are fairly large. I think this was a 17-hour print, and some of them surprisingly as big as this thing is, which to me is the most impressive piece. This is a vase of all things. You can see it has fins, and it is absolutely perfect. Like, it shocked me. Absolutely perfect. And this only took, I think, 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours. This was the longest one. I think I lied when I said this was 17. I think it was less than that. But this was at a very, very fine setting for no apparent reason. And I don't know if you can see that. It's got little fuzzies, like little, I don't know what you'd call them. But I didn't want to clean it up because I want to do kind of a formal review of everything I've done here. And this is, all of these are exactly as they came off the print bed. So I didn't clean these up at all. And it's amazing. It is genuinely amazing. Like, these are some of the cleanest prints I've ever seen off of any printer, let alone one that I happen to assemble. But like I said, I think this was like a 17-hour print because the layer height was, I think, at 100 microns, which is a little excessive. I mean, it's super clean. You can barely see. I mean, you really have to look to see the layer lines, and that's super impressive to me. But we had a Batarang. That was the first thing I printed because this was only a 20-minute print, and it's just so clean. It's such a clean print. And I think this was at 200 microns. Most of these were between that. I think most of them were at 200, and a couple were at 150, and a couple were at 100. And I actually don't really love the prints that were done at 100 microns. Like, this frog was, I think, the second thing I printed for my daughter. It's a little tree frog. My camera hates this orange, if you can't tell. I tried to get the color balance as good as I could, but this printer, or this camera, absolutely hates this orange for some reason. But I think 100 microns is a little excessive. Like I said, I think this is at 200, and it's perfect. Like, if you'd hand this to anyone, I can't fathom what complaints they would have about it. It's absolutely, totally consistent across the entire print, and blows my mind. Blows my mind. I was really nervous. I tried to do all these like really quick prints at first because I was just nervous. It's kind of alien to me to set the machine up and let it go for, 12, 15, 17 hours. But I think the print that's on there now, that's off a Thingiverse. I'll throw a link in the description. It's a marble machine. You put marbles in it, and there's a little like spiral cylinder in the middle with a little thumb piece that you rotate, and it just pulls marbles up from the bottom. They go down through all the chutes, and it just continues going as long as you spin it. But I think that's, I could check the LCD, but I'm pretty sure that's like 16 hours into that print right now, and it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely fantastic. Just chugging along. It makes quite a bit of noise, but this was another cool print that was one of the test files. Uh, it's called they call it a wheel bearing in the file, but it's actually like three little beveled gears. Three. There's actually seven of them in the middle there. But this printed as you see it. Like, even though the pieces move in the middle, this all printed at one time, and it works just like perfectly. I don't know if you can hear that. It just spins great. It's fantastic. I absolutely couldn't be happier with this printer. But got sidetracked there. The reason I wanted to do this real quick video And the reason I did it live is because I'm not going to have any time to edit anything this week. I'm going to be watching my daughter all week, and she's kind of fussy because she's not feeling too well. So I was actually sitting down here. You might be wondering why I have a Sega Genesis running in the background. I mod consoles, and I was working on finishing up this S-Video mod, so it puts out S-Video. And we found out that my daughter has hand, foot, and mouth disease, which sounds way worse than it is. She just has little blisters on her hands, feet, and on her tongue and stuff. And she's highly contagious, so she can't go to the babysitter. So I'm not going to have any of my normal free time this week to do any videos or anything or any updates. So I just wanted to, like, let everybody know what's going on, because the reactions, it shocks me, because the reactions to the assembly stream I did are fantastic. It's beyond any expectations I had, because I didn't really think anybody would care about anything that I had going on. But I've had tons of views. I've had tons of people like contact me privately and on social media and stuff, asking questions. Many of which are answered in the first couple minutes of the stream, but at some point here, I'll do an FAQ or something to address a lot of the questions people have, because there are quite a few already. And again, it blows my mind that I'm the guy that people are asking, because I know nothing about this stuff except what I've learned in the last few days. It's funny, the most common question I've gotten is how much it costs. I guess I can go ahead and address that here, because I'm going to have to address it again because people are still going to ask. The printer you see sitting down there chugging away was the kit form of this printer, the Prusa i3 Mk2, and it was $770 US with shipping. And that came from the Czech Republic, so it was $699, and apparently we don't have to pay any tax buying from Czechoslovakia, but $699, and then right around $70 for shipping. I think it was $770 on the nose, like exactly $770 shipped. And it's just, this printer is amazing. I'm going to do a formal review, which there's already quite a few people that have done fantastic reviews, so I'm going to try to put a unique spin on it and approach it from a different angle, because I don't want to just like reiterate the same things people have said over and over and over about how fantastic this printer is. But the filament I got with it's great. I haven't had any failed prints. Like, everything you see in front of you was the first time I tried to print it. I did print two of these. I did print two of the Batman logo Batarang things, because the first one got claimed by my friend Tanner, who was here when it finished, and he just kind of took that home, so I had to print another one. But everything's flawless. Absolutely flawless. The whistle works. My daughter likes playing with this. It is obnoxiously loud. It works fantastically. There's a Prusa logo plate here, and super clean, nice sharp edges, like literally sharp edges. Like you could cut yourself with this thing. The little Marvin, it's called Marvin on the file. A little like Martian guy. Little dog. The dog, I think, is one of the nicer prints too. It is just so smooth. Like, I think if I would just spray paint this, I think it would almost completely hide most of the layer lines. Just super smooth. And this was 200 microns. That's why, to me, the 100 microns just seems excessive when this printer prints as nice as it does. But the Triceratops skull is kind of cool. You see all this other material on here. This is, it's support material. It will come off, but I want to break that away on video while I'm doing my review to see like how well it breaks away. It seems like just prying on this a little bit, it looks like it's going to come right off, but this, I'm going to finish up nice and paint it. Like, I'll actually make it look like bone and stuff. I think it'll be a sweet piece. And again, you just can't really... You can see the layer lines, but like when you run your finger across it, it's pretty smooth. It's got like a satiny finish, but fantastic printer. And I think I'm going to be getting some different filament colors here shortly. I did sign up for the Maker Box, if anyone's seen that. Hello there. I signed up for the Maker Box, which they send you 4. Random's probably not the right word, but they send you 4 filament samples of different types every month, and I'm going to be doing some of these test prints again in those for my own purposes of exploration, because I'm not familiar with any of the filaments except for this PLA that was provided with my printer. But I'm going to be doing those and buying some different color PLAs for some projects I have, because I'm probably going to print some of these vases out and just give them as gifts because they're so cool. I'm going to give them to some people just to kind of let them know that I have a 3D printer and that if they'd like to have anything printed, I'm available. Because I think this is, I don't know, it's just so good. It's so good. Yeah, someone just joined chat and said that they had a Mark II. And I'm genuinely shocked. Like, I had seen reviews before I bought it. It's the reason I bought it. And they talked about how nicely it prints and how consistent the prints are. So I had high expectations going into this. And even with those high expectations, I'm just blown away at how well this printer prints. And I'm an absolute idiot. Like, I knew nothing about 3D printing before I got this machine. I had seen reviews of other machines and stuff, but beyond that, I had absolute zero experience. Like, absolute literal zero experience. So for me to be able to get results like this speaks volumes about the quality of the components that you get and the engineering that went into this. I mean, it's just couldn't be happier. So I don't want to linger here. This is going to be a fairly short video, but I had a lot of people asking questions about what was going on because I went from streaming, I think it was 3 days in a row, to not doing anything for a few days now. So I just wanted to touch base with everybody, let them know what was going on. This week's going to be a little tough, but starting next week, I have all kinds of plans I want to do. I want to do some tests on like one of the things you can do when you pull your files into the slicer, things like infill settings and things. There's all kinds of different patterns you can use. There's a shocking number of settings in the slicers and stuff. But I want to do some tests on how different settings turn out, because these all more or less, like this, I know you probably can't see that, but when you hold it up to light, this has like a triangle style infill, and this has more like a square infill, and then this thing that's printing now, I guess it's over here, not over there, even though the machine's over there. I actually, just for my own amusement, put it on the 3D honeycomb. It looks cool, but the machine is obnoxiously loud when it's doing it, because it's doing like a bunch of really quick moves across the plate. Like if you see that print there, I think that's about 150 millimeters across, and that whole bottom layer is filled with that 3D honeycomb fill, and oh my god, it sounds like it's shaking itself apart. And it's not. I know it's like completely normal operation, but yeah, that was amusing to sit and watch, because that thing just was tearing it up. There's probably 3,000 little honeycomb shapes in the base of that, but that's another issue. It was fairly noisy, and it's all in the linear bearings. It was rather noisy when I first started printing, but it has kind of settled down. You can probably hear it on the mic. The printer's probably 6 feet from me. It's not really that far away, but it has quieted down a little bit. I think like greasing it and keeping the rods clean and greased has helped a little bit, but when it does really tight maneuvers, it does make quite a bit of noise. Okay, you said you greased the inside of your bearings and they went quiet. Because I've seen some people, if you haven't yet and you're interested in these printers, you can join the official Prusa group on Facebook. And there's quite a few guys in there that have apparently replaced the bearings, which I will probably do at some point, because I would like it to be quieter, and I would like to do a video on that process, because there isn't really anyone that has done a video showing how to do that because you do kind of need to disassemble your printer, and I'd like to try to do it in the most intelligent way possible so you're not disassembling things that you don't need to. Because I don't think there's bearings in the bed, the part that's moving closer and farther away from you, but I don't think they are responsible for most of the noise. I think most of it is the 3 in the print head itself. So I'd like to try just replacing those 3 to see how much of a difference that makes. Because most of your quick movement is in there. I mean, there's some in the bed, but I'd like to try that. I've already found a couple different solutions for insulating the feet of the printer to make it translate noise a little less to the table it's sitting on. And right now, the thing that has worked best was I took an old mouse pad and cut squares underneath the feet, and I cut 2 squares under each foot, and that seemed to make a significant difference. Because if you watch the stream, I had the printer on this table, and it was really loud. And that actually wasn't the printer's fault. This table acts like a drum, and it was really just like amplifying all those vibrations and stuff. So as soon as I moved it onto, that's like a more solid wood table, and then eventually I'm going to put it back where this TV's sitting, and I'd like to look into getting a piece of granite or something that's about the same size as the printer, because I think that will really help. Like if I have some kind of insulation between the printer and the granite, and then between the granite and the my workbench here, I think that'll really cut down on the noise. And I also got some of that really cheap foam board from Walmart that I want to build a little enclosure that just sits right over top for 2 purposes. I think that will help cut down on the noise, and I think I'll have all of $6 spent on the materials. And I also want to see if that's enough to, if I can get away with doing that, to do some big ABS prints, because I've heard that some people seem to get away with it and some people don't, but you really would like to have a heated print chamber for when you do ABS. I don't know. This wasn't pre-built. I did the kit, David. If you check on my channel, I actually streamed the entire process from the unboxing to the finalized assembly. I think it was, I'm probably wrong here, but I think it was about 15 hours, if I'm not right. And I was really not making, I wasn't really making great time, because I kept like second guessing myself on things, and I kept back and going back and double checking and stuff. But I lucked out. I must have got in right before the popularity really struck with these printers, because I only had to wait, I think it was 7 days, actual days, but it was only like 4 business days that I had to wait before my printer shipped. And then it was only, it only took 3 days for it to get from the Czech Republic to me in Pennsylvania here in the States. So that was really, really like shocking to me that it got here that fast. You said you had issues with your hot end going cold. Say, I haven't had that at all. I've had 0 prints. This print scared me. This is the, I don't know if you can see, it's got Joe Prusa's face on it, kind of embossed. But this scared the hell out of me, because it's a 2-color print file. So you do the base layer, and then the lettering and the relief of his face is supposed to be in a different color. Like, I guess most people use black. But when it's ready for the second color, it beeps really, really loud, and I panicked. I thought something went wrong. So yeah, keep an eye out for that if you do this test print. And I just wanted to do them all. I will never use any of these. The dragon's kind of cool. That's probably going to be sitting on my bench. This is a cool print. It's a big 3-dimensional castle with all kinds of detail and stuff, but I don't know what the hell I'll ever do with that. Same with the Triceratops skull. Like, I'm going to clean it up and paint it and everything, like I said, but that'll just be sitting on my bench. This is kind of useful. It is a functional vase. I tested it. The bottom is not airtight as it is. I tested it. I poured some water in and then just kind of like sealed my lips around the end and put some pressure in it, and it did leak. But I think if you just add probably another 2 or 3 layers in your slicer, I think that would immediately fix that problem. I think because it only leaked in a couple tiny little spots where you could see it kind of didn't extrude exactly enough. Still looks fine, but it wasn't enough to make an airtight seal. And these will be going to my daughter. She likes playing with the frog and the dog and the whistle. She loves the whistle. But yeah, I couldn't be happier. We need to know about Infill. Yeah, I will cover that. I'm probably going to do a little video series that tests the strength of all the different infills, because most of these parts, like none of this stuff, it matters. This is such a big hunk of plastic that the infill doesn't matter at all. Like you could probably snap this in half if you'd kind of hulk out on it, but the 10% kind of square infill's fine. But there are some prints or pieces, like I want to print a couple things for little RC cars, and maybe I fly RC helicopters, probably print some of that stuff. And I'd like to find out, like I would assume some of the honeycomb design infills are the strongest, just because like of the geometry of the honeycombs kind of working for you. But I'd like to do some formal tests. I'll probably just print out some like oblong bars with different infills and stuff, and then test to see how much weight they'll take before they break. Because like this, you see, this one is really thin. It probably only has 4 or 5 layers of infill, so not the best test. But something like this, you can see that's probably, it's a little over 1/4 of an inch, probably 3/8, something like that. That's actually pretty stiff. This is a pretty tough little piece. Again, you could snap it, but the little triangles in there do a pretty good job of making this strong. But yeah, the lead time now, someone asked about the lead time for the kits and the assembled printers especially. I think the lead time for the assembled kits is more than 4 or 5 weeks now. Unless I'm mistaken, I think it's creeped up more than that, because they're being really hit with demand. I might have that here. I can try pulling it up. But yeah, the demand has went through the roof for these, because the word is getting out how fantastic they are. Yeah, it looks for the kit, they're saying about 2 weeks. And then I'll check the pre-built. No, you're right, it does say 4 to 5 weeks. I thought the other day it had creeped up higher than that, but I'm sure they're ramping up their printer farms. If you haven't seen those online, they're kind of cool to look at. They have rooms that are full of the Mk2s that are printing more Mk2 pieces out. Which is, it's kind of an interesting thing to see. But no, I did luck out. I only had, like I said, it was only a few business days, but because of holidays and the weekend and all that stuff, it ended up being probably 7 to 10 days from the time I ordered till it was sitting at my door. And then it took me another 3 days because I wanted to do everything on stream, so I only assembled it while I could have the stream up. So, oh, you got a kit by mistake. Yeah, I ate all the sweets, I think, the first day. Because everybody likes Haribo. And then it was kind of cool because I don't think Haribo sells the particular ones that I got in the States. So I got to try some candy that I had never seen before, which was pretty nifty. But I didn't think I'd like them because they looked kind of odd. But they were pretty good. Because I'm kind of bummed now that I don't really have access to them. Stalled it. Did you, someone asked which slicer I used. I have only used the one that they provided. I've heard conflicting names for it, because I've heard some people call it Slick 3R, but to me it looks like it's just supposed to be slicer. It's just the word slicer with a 3 instead of an E. But yeah, it worked great. I haven't had any problems. This print you're looking at, I actually pulled the STL file into the slicer that Prusa provided, and had no problems. I set the layer height to I think 200 microns, and I set the infill a little bit higher. I think the infill is about 20%, and I set it to the 3D honeycomb, like I said, but I had no problems. And I used a relatively crappy laptop for it, and it exported and everything fine. It did not take long at all for the G-code to be generated, so I have no complaints. I probably won't switch to anything else for a while. Eventually I'll try some different things out, because some of the projects that I have coming up, I'll probably want to have a little bit more control, and I don't know if Slicer will have all the options that I'm going to want, but for now it's been great. I did mess a few things up. I wouldn't call them failed prints. I think they're upstairs. I had taken this little gear bearing, and I scaled it down to, the first one was 25%, which is actually way smaller than I was expecting it to be, because I don't know how the scaling works. I don't know if it was saying it was 25% volume, or if it was saying it was 25% dimensionally of the overall size, but I did make some mistakes, because when I scaled it, it actually, all the little pieces weren't independent of each other. It kind of routed the printer like in through the gears, so the gears were all like, it was all a single piece, and it didn't work. Because I think you could get away with printing it as small as that. I would say it was smaller. It was smaller than the opening in this. It was probably closer to the size of the round part on this whistle here. It was really small, because I was hoping so bad that it would work, because it was tiny and it had been pretty nifty. But no, I have a lot to learn, because I think in Slicer you have to cut the pieces. I think there's a button in there that helps you do that, but I haven't really had time to explore all that. I'd probably like to make a couple more of these guys scaled down and run at a coarser layer height, because all the pieces, again, I know you can't really see this on my webcam here. I mean, look at the sheen on those wings. You can tell how fine the layers are. It's pretty amazing. But all the pieces that are printed at 100 microns have this little fuzzy stuff. It almost looks like lint. And it's no big deal. Like I said, I only didn't clean these up because when I do my video, I want them to be exactly as they came off the printer. But from what I understand, you can just take a hairdryer and blow it off. You can pull most of them off and then take a hairdryer over this and it'll fix them right up. So, not a big deal. Another question I've gotten, because the stream is the only thing I have on this channel, is what I plan on doing for this channel. And there's not really a short answer to that, because I plan on doing a lot. I plan on doing everything from like the classic console modding and stuff, like the Segas and Nintendos and stuff that you see sitting around. I have a couple Ataris back there on the shelf. I want to get into doing HDMI mods for N64s, stuff like that. So all that stuff's going to be on here. All kinds of videos for like refurbishing and maintaining controllers for consoles, stuff like that. Obviously all the 3D printing stuff. Probably going to do some filament reviews. Some exploration of like the slicers, all that stuff. The infill things that I was talking about. I'm into tabletop wargaming, so I'm used to like painting and finishing models. So I want to do some of that, because I've never worked with these PLAs. One of the first projects along those lines will probably be finishing this skull. Like I want to break it out of the support materials, get it cleaned up, paint it, and try to get it as close to bone as I can, like with paint and some washes and stuff, and some techniques I've learned over the years with paint and wargaming minis. But all kinds of stuff. I want to do some upgrade videos on the Mk2. Like I talked about the bearings, isolating some of the sound problems and fixing them. I have noticed, because I had problems with it, is some techniques you can use to get the bed square. Like I talked about the bearings, more square, because mine's still a little skewed. When you do your XYZ calibration, it does tell me that my what would that be? The X and the Y axis is slightly skewed. So I have done some reading and found out some methods that you can use to fix that would best be implemented during the assembly. It's going to be a little backwards for me to do it now because my printer's already done and working, but there are a few sites that actually have... Well, I don't know how that would work for people printing it out, but there are some STL files that you can just print that are exactly the length that you need to have certain components at. So I guess it does make sense to do it after you have it together and functioning, because you can print those out and then go back and fine-tune things. Look into getting the bed square. Yeah, luckily with these, like on the software side, it automatically compensates pretty fantastically for it. But I'm kind of picky, and I would sleep better at night knowing that my printer was just square. I know it absolutely doesn't matter, but it's one of those things. I'm sure there's other people out there like that too. But yeah, I'll find those files and share them, and then go through the procedure of... Because it's a little fiddly, going through and loosening all your nuts up, making sure everything's square, getting everything oriented properly, and then tightening everything up without ruining all the adjustments that you just did. But no, lots of stuff in the future. That's why I wanted to touch base with everyone who had watched and subscribed again, letting them know I'm not gone. I'll be back. This is just going to be a tough week, so kind of bear with me. And I know this video is kind of going to be raw. I've already rambled quite a bit, but yeah, the OCD kicks in. It definitely does. If you watch the process of me assembling it, you'll definitely see some OCD stuff in there. There are things that I checked like 4 and 5 times. I actually went back and redid... Well, I wouldn't say redid, but I rechecked all the wiring on the final day, which took, I don't know, probably an extra half hour that I really didn't need to do, but I didn't want to fry anything when I plugged it in, so I think it was time well spent. But no, if you're interested in any of the things that I just talked about, definitely subscribe so you know what's going on and you see videos when they come out, because YouTubers always talk about schedules. It's something you always hear, and then people fall through. It's something I've done on another channel that I have. We do a podcast with a couple of friends and stuff, and I've said a million times that I'm going to make a schedule and keep it, but I want to keep this channel alive. I really do want to devote a good bit of time to it, so I'm going to be shooting for at least one 3D printing video a week, and probably one other video a week, whether it's like console stuff or mini wargaming, and just other stuff. I'm into photography. I'd like to do some videos on... I've had a lot of questions about how I've done streaming and lighting and cameras and microphones and all that stuff. So I'm going to be focused on 3D printing for the most part, but we're going to mix some other stuff in too, so hopefully that'll keep it interesting. Because you can only watch so much 3D printing stuff. If you're like me, I just reached that point where I don't really want to watch all that much more. I just want to start doing it myself. So yeah, we'll try to mix some things in to keep it fresh. But that's pretty much all for today. I want to keep this short. I was shooting for 15 minutes, and we're at looks like 33 now. So I'll cut it off. But I'd look for another video in... Let's shoot for 4 days. 3 or 4 days. And more than likely, it won't be a 3D printing video, but we'll get something up here. Something interesting. We'll keep it short and sweet. But thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Usual YouTube crap. Like, comment, subscribe. Check me out. Check the channel out. And we'll see you soon. Thanks.